It gives me great pleasure to introduce your speaker, Adi Tyagi. He's a graduate of the University of California, Berkeley, where he earned his bachelor's degree in industrial engineering and operations research with a minor in electrical engineering and computer science. He's a proud member of the MSIA in Analytics Theta cohort. Some of his accomplishments during his time at our program include helping the university optimize its ranking outcomes and working with the city of Evanston to better understand community food insecurity due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This led to him and his MSIA Theta team presenting their work on food insecurity at the Hunger Free Communities Summit 2020. Most recently, in collaboration with Northwestern faculty, he showcased his research on how personality and teamwork drive social relationships at ASONAM, which is an acronym for a conference, 2020, a global conference for social network analytics and mining. He has also won the MSIA Summer Block Contest and our annual Data Hackathon. What he loves most about our program and Northwestern are the vast amount of opportunities available and the exceptional people that constitute the MSIA Theta cohort. So Adi, the podium is all yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are, at least to me.
All right.
Yeah, I guess you are.
Dear parents, friends, and family, faculty, and last but not least, fellow Thetas, good afternoon. My name is Aditya Tyagi, a member of the MSIA graduating class of 2020, the Theta cohort. Most of you know me as Adi Tyagi, the trendy name I adopted to differentiate myself from the other Aditya in this cohort. By now, I assume many of the graduates must have given their own introductions of me to their parents and family. And no doubt Professor Klabian's introduction would have been helpful. However, I would like to take the liberty to introduce myself in my own way. I'm the kid who optimistically sits in the front row of the Krebs classroom day in and day out and falls asleep every single time. It's true, there's no point denying it. You see, sitting in the front row is a high-stakes game. You can either win the trust of the instructor with your courage to sit in the front row and answer questions, or you can fall asleep like me. In fact, I have the unique distinction and honor of having fallen asleep during a Zoom call with camera on. Can you believe that? That's a very, very special achievement. I've also spotted more than a few Thetas looking at me quizzingly when they see me dancing the salsa basic step in the Krebs classroom while giving a presentation in front of the entire class. What can I say? I have a problem staying still. With introductions aside, I'd like to address head-on the elephant in the room. We're virtual. Why? A global pandemic has brought the world to its knees and confined us to our living room. This is unfortunate. When this year began, everyone made a lot of New Year resolutions. Surviving a pandemic was not one of them. This led to the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Global social unrest soon followed. And while the economy was depressed, many of us found ourselves depressed, battling our worst demons, such as loneliness, hopelessness, and despondency. Where lives were lost, so were livelihoods. Family reunions were canceled, and the world learned the meaning of the phrase, "You're on mute." But I'm not here to tell you you're on mute. You have a voice. you have ability. Your actions can have an impact. Above all, you are survivors. But there are some who did not make it through this pandemic. A moment of silence for those near and dear ones who are no longer with us. As they look down upon us from the heavens today, let us here promise to them that they will not be forgotten. For as a cohort, we must promise to live our best lives and dedicate it to them. For that is what they would have wanted for us. During the darkest hours of this pandemic, many of you may be asking a natural question, a question I asked myself many times. Why me? Why now? Why here? And in response, let me ask you another question. Why not you? Why not now? Why not here? For as data scientists and graduates of this wonderful program, we are in a unique position to contribute to the new world that will emerge from the ashes of the old. With your best years ahead of you, there can be no better time than now, and no better place than the soil upon which you stand, the communities in which you live. For but once in 100 years, history calls upon ordinary people to do extraordinary things. People whom we imagine nothing of, to do the things that no one can imagine. This is that day. This is that time. And this brings me to my second message: have faith. As data scientists, we are rewarded to crunch the numbers and turn evidence into insight, but there is a limit to crunching the numbers. Numbers cannot answer the deepest questions of life. Only faith can. A friend once told me, easy questions have easy answers, difficult questions have difficult answers, and the most difficult questions of all sometimes have no answers, except faith. What do I mean by faith? Faith takes you from being a prisoner of your circumstances to the pasture of possibilities. Many people throughout history have had many different interpretations for faith, but here I'd like to share mine. Faith is the conviction of a soldier guarding a distant outpost alone at night, saying, "This we will defend." Faith is the belief of vaccine researchers around the world, despite numerous failed trials, saying, "This is a disease we will find a cure for." Faith is the voice in a nurse's heart saying, "Let this one live. This person we can save." Faith is the voice of the people marching through the streets saying, "This time will be different." Faith is the glimmer in generations of immigrants' eyes as they arrived at Ellis Island, Angel Island on the Pacific coast, and today at San Francisco International Airport, Chicago O'Hare, and New York's John F. Kennedy Airport. The glimmer in their eyes when they see the stars and stripes, when they see the Statue of Liberty. The voice in their hearts that says, "This is the land where my dreams will become a reality." And above all, faith is the voice in your heart that when your muscle, your body, and your mind have given up, says, "Go on." And now, I'd like to address the second elephant in this room. Many of you are joining this ceremony from distant shores. Well, over 70% of our cohort are international students. I see you. I see who you are and everything that you are. For I too came to this country 5 years ago as an international student. I know your story, teary goodbyes at airports across the world, memories of a world left behind to start a new life in a new world, exhausting layovers at strange places as you made your way here, arriving alone at airports across this great country with no one to receive you at the arrival's gate. Thanksgivings spent alone and connecting with family on Skype calls at odd hours of the night. And while our stories are singular, our destiny is shared. My mind goes back 5 years at an airport on the other side of the world. I was 18, leaving my family behind to start another semester at the University of California, Berkeley. And while my mother, my sister, and I were in tears, my father, a brave man, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Smile, son, you're going to America." And this is a message I want you to remember. Many of you are starting new jobs at new companies, beginning your careers. Wherever you are going, smile and go there with all your heart. And while I can't possibly forecast your career 30 years from now, I can promise you this, that in the end, all will be well, as long as you smile and keep your heart in all that you do. And you don't forget to dance. You knew that was coming. For dancing is joy and happiness. And you may sometimes wonder whether the music really is playing, like right now. I can promise you that the music is playing. For what better tune to dance to than the beat of your own heart? And now, as I end this address, there is but one question in my mind. If our program were to last 100 years, what will the MSIA graduating class of 2030 talk about at their graduation ceremony? Which cohort will they draw their inspiration from? I can say with confidence that it will be the class of 2020, the Thetas, the proud. Statistics such as cohort median starting salary, percentage of students with full-time offers at graduation, median cohort GPA, or any other statistic you can imagine are quickly forgotten. For indeed, numbers are finite, yet stories are eternal. Ours is the story of a cohort that graduated amid a pandemic, an economic recession, and the worst social unrest this century has so far seen, all at the same time. Professors and faculty who creatively reinvented their courses for an online format. Students who persevered by looking at a screen until their eyes went dry. Students whose hearts contained fires much too great to be extinguished by emails that began with, "We regret to inform you." I can say with conviction that if our program were to last 100 years, people would look back and say this was their finest hour. And now for the people that matter the most to me. To Mama, Daddy, my little sister, Ashi, my grandparents, and the rest of my extended family, I love you more than you can imagine. I can't wait to see you. That day can't be too far away. I wouldn't have been able to be here if not for your love and support during the darkest hours of this pandemic. As I lay there locked up alone in my apartment, your voice gave me hope and my life meaning. And to the rest of the parents and family present here today, the only 48 members of this cohort will soon throw their hats in the air and graduate. This achievement is as much yours as it is theirs. For indeed, today we stand on the shoulders of giants. To the Thetas present here, as I end my address as a fellow Northwestern graduate, a fellow Theta, and most importantly, as each of your friend, I'd like to jog your memory back to the very first days we spent together. At orientation during our very first week here, at boot camp during my introduction, I couldn't contain my excitement and I childishly blurted out, "I'm really happy to be here." And what can I say? I'd like to end my address with those very same words. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you here this afternoon. May God bless you. May God bless the world. Go Wildcats and go Thetas. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't notice it. I'm saying what was part of your speech. So sorry, I didn't notice that I'm muted. Thank you very much, Adi. So this was fantastic, fantastic speech.